All-State Arena, Chicago Rush, Grand Rapids, Rampage. I have been to the All-State Arena. The only playoff game I have ever seen of any professional sport was in this arena. Chicago Rush, Grand Rapids, going at it today. I saw Chicago Rush and the LA Avengers in a playoff game way back when. I got photos. Maybe if you want to see the photos, I'll throw them up on Patreon or something. But I got pictures to prove it. I got a picture of me in a Bobby Scipio jersey. The only playoff game I've been to. The Chicago Rush, though, they are a long ways away from the playoffs. They come into this game at 2-6 as we start the second half of the year in arena football. Big number 99, John Moyer right there. Our Grand Rapids Rampage undefeated at a perfect 8-0. 2-6 versus 8-0. And this is a divisional game, so it's getting heated out on the field. Grand Rapids, we faced our first real test last week in arena football against the Utah Blaze. They kept it close, but we were able to pull away in the end. Let's see what happens here tonight. Chicago wants to pull off the upset, and you can see the standings where it sits. 2-6 versus 8-0. We got SK Money in the house. WX Man was here earlier. We got a jam-packed night. Let's do this thing. Damian Grosh, who, with a great kick return, not only has he been a great kick returner, he's got we just looked at the stats in the last episode. He's like tops of the league in touchdowns, second in the league in yards. Absolutely dominant. The number one passer as far as touchdown passes, not yardage, but touchdown passes, that man, number 14, Shane Stafford. And Stafford going to look for Fleming. Now, we got an interesting atmosphere here because I always got to point it out. Not only am I big on uniforms, I'm big on stadium configurations in arena football. And with the Chicago Rush, now we just got done. We were at home, normal arena, boxed in end zones. Chicago, they got wide open end zones. So 2 weeks ago, we played against Vegas where they had the rounded corner end zones, which made catching passes a lot harder because you had a lot less room. Now in this atmosphere, you got the wide open end zones of Chicago. So you got a lot more room to make plays. But on the downside, as you're kind of seeing here, you don't have the wall to lean up against. You got a wall. I guess the ideal atmosphere is having that square in the backfield. You have the wall, but there's no wall. So that really kind of changes things up a little bit. And I will... Grosh, incomplete. I will continue to give credit to EA because everyone, including myself, usually rags on EA for not being the most detailed-oriented in their sports games, but they could have easily just given every team a boxed-in look. But they went out and they made each arena, at least the inside of the arena, special to the team, which is cool. Now, the outside of the arena looks like every other team with dimmed-out lights, dark. You can't tell any arena from any other, but the fact that they got the fields right, I give them credit for that. Boy, oh boy, this, yeah, that was tough. The Chicago Rush defense, opening possession, forcing a 3-and-out, and there's John Moyer, who came out of the locker room. You saw the game. He was hyped. He was pumped up. And look at where the Chicago Rush is going to get the football. So Joe Hamilton, who probably wishes he was back with the Orlando Predators, who are 8-0. He is your quarterback for the 2-win Chicago Rush. We'll see what he can do as on the first play of the game. I don't think I ever finished my thought from the last episode that we did, where I was mentioning the new Arena Football League coming up. I was going to be a Chicago Rush fan because that was one of my original two teams, the Rush and the Storm. And I've mentioned before I became a Chicago Rush fan after going to my only pro playoff game I've ever seen. I'm trying to think of like other sports. I've never been to a baseball playoff game, never been to an NFL playoff game, never been to a hockey playoff game. I've been to a college football bowl game, if that counts. I want to go to the Pop-Tart Bowl next year. Maybe we get SK Money to go with us. SK Money, we're trying to organize a trip to see the Broncos and the Buccaneers next year if you're down. So if you count I don't know if you count a bowl game as a playoff game or a postseason game, but this has been the only playoff game, the Rush and the Avengers. So I became a Rush fan as my second team the Rush and the Storm, and they were going to be my team. Did they get... No, wow, the thing flashed like he got the first down, but they didn't give it to him. Duke Pettijohn. So 2 turnovers, no points in this one. But the Chicago Rush, after being announced, after releasing a Twitter page and a logo and everything, they announced they were going to take a year off and not play arena football this year. So I think I'm going to go with the New Orleans Voodoo because there's no Tampa Bay Storm. Thought about the Orlando Predators, but that's just too much of a rivalry. So the next closest team to where I live would be either the Georgia Force or the New Orleans Voodoo, but I like that new logo. I've always thought the team name was kind of cool. Interesting, a slow start, just like we had against Utah. This is a very, very similar slow start that we had against the Rush, that we had against the Blaze. And it was 3-0 in that game, going in pretty much the end of the first quarter, and then it eventually ended in the 60s. Willis Marshall, there we go, finally. Some offensive production. We got to figure out a way. We're not coming out of here. Just so slow. Like, it's such a slow start to the game, and you can't have that. Look at that, 1 of 7. We were 0 for 6 before Shane Stafford completed that last pass. You kidding me? Come on. And that is knocked down. Incomplete. Rashad Davis. So Stafford 1 of 8 for the #1 quarterback in terms of passing touchdowns in arena football. Stafford under duress, gets it to Skaggs. It's not too often you see Skaggs making a play. Justin Skaggs. So 3rd and goal. Chicago Rush coming out playing tough early on, but as you saw against Utah, you can play as tough as you want early on. What counts is down the stretch. More pressure from the outside, and it's just kind of Stafford had to get rid of it. 4th and goal. Game says go for it. I think I might, because they're going to get the ball at the 2 if we don't make it. So why not go for it? Right? Part of me wants to take the points, but in arena football, points, 3 points doesn't really mean much. Even if we don't get it, we back them up. Damian Grosh, touchdown. There we go. Oh my goodness. Chicago Rush. Forget about it. Our Grand Rapids Rampage strike first. And Schmitz, the extra point, good. 7-0 Rampage. Looking for a 9-0 start, which I've played a lot of years of this game. I've had this game for, I guess, almost 20 years now. I've had this game. This is my original copy, Xbox copy that I've had for 20 years. I don't think I've ever started. I don't think I've ever started 6-0, 7-0, 8-0. If we win, we'd be 9-0. An undefeated season in arena football, that has never happened. Even in the era of 4-team leagues, which happened early of the arena football's life and late in the arena football life. In arena football, there's never been an undefeated team. Now in AF2, of course, if you guys are arena aficionados, such as myself, you guys know the Quad City Steamwheelers of AF2. The first year they were in the league, they went undefeated. Now they ended up having a bit of a situation. I'll let you guys look that up, but the first 2 years, Quad City is pretty dominant, and then they ended up having to kind of, what's the term they use in NCAA? Got put on probation, so their domination dried up pretty quickly. Duke Pettijohn, touchdown, Chicago Rush, and we'll be all tied 7-7 at the end of quarter number 1. So go look up the history of the Quad City Steamwheelers, and that's another team these Chicago teams, man, that was another team that when I made the jump to the IFL, when arena football ceased to exist, I was going to go with the Quad City Steamwheelers. Looking around, I was actually going to go with the Nebraska Danger, but they ended up not fielding a team, and they went out of business because I thought they had really cool colors. So I was going to go with the Quad City Steamwheelers just because I knew them. I knew that historic run they had. I thought they had cool uniforms, the gold and red and blue and all that stuff. And they played 2 games. I watched the game they played. They played 1 game, actually. There were 2 games played. And then COVID hit. The Backstreet Boys reunion tour hit. And IFL shut down. And then they didn't come back the next year. They took a year off. So just like what's happening with the Chicago Rush, I had to find a new team, and then I ended up changing my allegiance to the Iowa Barnstormers, and I've been a Barnstormers IFL fan ever since then. And look at this deep pass, wide open, Willis Marshall, come on. Part of that thinking was, again, just that arena football connection. I kind of wanted to have a team that I knew, from arena football. Of course, you have Green Bay Blizzard, who they played in the AF2 as well, but I couldn't bring myself to go in with the Arizona Rattlers just because I had so many teams that had been in rivalries with the Rattlers, especially the Chicago Rush in that American Conference. Man, there was so many battles they had with the Rattlers that just messed them up. So I couldn't bring myself to do it. There's a fumble. Now we're starting to see the 2-win Chicago Rush show up here. So I settled on the Iowa Barnstormers because it was an arena football team. Even though I never grew up watching them, I was a Tampa Bay Storm guy, so I went against them a lot in those arena bowls. But because I'm a Cardinals fan, they had the Kurt Warner relationship. Obviously, I'm a uniform guy. The helmets, the uniforms, super cool. Wide open Corey Fleming. And if this is how the Chicago Rush is going to play, it might start to be another blowout here in arena football. So yeah, the helmets, the uniforms, the Kurt Warner, the arena football connection, and there you have it. That's how I became a Iowa Barn. And I think the name too, Tampa Bay Storm, Iowa Barnstormers. I think just having that connection as well. I picked them. But let me know in the comments, what is your favorite IFL or arena team? Do you watch the IFL? And if you don't, I encourage all of you guys, as somebody, myself, that grew up watching arena football and has spent 20 years playing this game, I encourage you guys, all the games stream for free. There's literally no excuse. Pick a team. Every single team streams every one of their games. They're all archived. If you've never seen an IFL game, they're all archived on YouTube. Go check out the IFL, because when arena football went out of business for the second time, and obviously they came back this year, but that was the place. We had nowhere to go. Us arena football fans, we had nowhere to go, and I turned to the IFL, and they've been great. I've watched them for a couple years now, and they've been so much fun to watch. And they have unique rules like the deuce. Obviously, I missed the netting. That is so arena football to me, having the big nets and having those kicks that bounce off the net. So I wish that there was a way that I know that arena football's got a patent. I don't know the situation when arena football went out of business the second time about the patent, why they could or couldn't use it or whatever. But I do wish they had the netting, but I understand why they don't. But go check it out. They have really crazy rules like the deuce. They have, multiple guys go in motion. The rules are set up in such a way that there's actually a running game in the IFL. Like, you can get yardage from running the football. Touchdown, Chicago Rush. Touchdown. Tony Locke. Tony L. Tony D. Tony D'Angelo, the family. So, yeah, go check out the IFL. It's just to put a capper on that, because they're good stuff. And support the AFL. It's going to be back this season. And support the AFL. We want these things to last, man. I don't know where, at the time that we're streaming this, they haven't really made any announcements as far as how they're broadcasting the game. I would hope, and that's going to give us good field position, I would hope just on YouTube, that's going to be the easiest for us fans to watch. I remember back in the day, they had like this, well, of course, growing up for me, arena football, it was on ESPN2 a lot. Eli Gold called a lot of the arena football games, the famous Alabama radio broadcaster, if you can imagine that. That was the voice of arena football for me for a lot of years. And then it was the NBC deal, and they would give us local games, so I would get every Tampa Bay Storm game. And there was the famous, come on, feel the thunder, rumble, whatever song for arena football on NBC. And that was peak childhood for me, was watching arena football on NBC, that coverage, all the games going at once, and every Tampa Bay Storm game broadcasted. And then after that, it was, they had the deal with ESPN and CBS Sports, and they kind of bounced around NFL Network for a while. But they tried to do a thing where they tried to stream, before streaming was really a thing. There was this AFL app you would download on your computer, and it was in 2010 or 2011, so before streaming was really an easy thing to do. That app did not work well, and so often games did not air. I remember there were 2 games the Chicago Rush played in Rockford, and the internet was so bad they couldn't even broadcast the game, and I don't think those games have ever showed up before. Oh my goodness, Willis Marshall completely wide open, and Shane Stafford whiffed on the throw. Oh my God, going right past Willis Marshall. Are you kidding me? It is only a 7-point game here, by the way. Well, oh, and he misses again. Shane Stafford has missed twice. Willis Marshall. We'll go ahead and take the 3. Oh my God. Those were 2 just easy touchdowns, and you don't see that from Shane Stafford. Field goal is good, so 24-14. One thing that I always liked, I will say this though about I was complimenting EA and their attention to detail on the stadiums, how they got the walls correct. One thing they didn't get correct though was the center field logo. They just gave everybody the AFL logo. Every team did not have the AFL logo at midfield. A majority of the teams did, yes. But the Chicago Rush were one of the teams that they had their logo at midfield. The Tampa Bay Storm had the arena football logo with a St. Pete Times Forum circular logo that would surround it. Oh my God, wide open touchdown is Locke and the Chicago Rush. They're feeling upset-minded right now. We got another close game. We are 2 for 2 close games at halftime. From the Utah Blaze to the Chicago Rush, guys. Now look at this. I'm not going to go through the whole rigmarole because we did that against Utah. Go check out the archives. But Chicago is going to do exactly what we did last week, which is go ahead and either try to get the onside kick or just give up the ball on a short field position here. And that's what they're going to do. They're going to give us the football on a short field position, kicking out of bounds that will stop the clock. And they are going to get the ball back if we score, pretty much giving up a free touchdown. I talk more in depth about the strategy in that at the first half of the Utah Blaze game. So go check that out in the archives if you want to hear why that's a smart strategy for arena football. Damian Grosh with the touchdown. I didn't even really mention, I probably should have in the Utah Blaze game, that, the Utah Utes, that's where I kind of made a name for myself. I'm going to kick the field goal, even though the clock is running. I could let the clock run out, but I'm going to be fair and just kick in and let them have a shot because of the timing rules being broken in this game. But that was a bit of a homecoming for me to play. I mean, we were not in Utah, but to play Utah and being a coach of the Utah Utes, who's won a bunch of national titles. And yeah, there you go. Utah Utes, we are going to try to do 2 more seasons of that. Remember during the national championship, there was this big rumor or announcement that they were going to release a college football trailer during the Michigan-Washington game, and they, like, never did. There's a quarterback sack. So, yeah. So the plan will be eventually to get the new college football game. So fingers crossed it'll be good. The plan is to get a PS5 Pro when those come out. Again, they say end of 2024. Maybe it'll be a Christmas gift me and my wife can get. Oh, touchdown. All right, we got to figure out a way. They got an outside jack linebacker out of the box. Tony Locke has just been nuts. How many touchdowns does he have? 3? 4? The Chicago Rush. And like we said with the Utah game, slow start, here come all the points. So now do they go for another onside kick? They're going to kick it deep, so we'll have like a shot or two at getting some points on the scoreboard here. Maybe a couple haters. Oh, wait a minute, Grosh. No. Oh, it's recovered by Chris Angel. Thank God. Take the timeout here. Oh my God, that was terrible. Let's go Hail Mary. Let's bounce it off the netting. It's live. We'll throw it up against the net, see what happens here. But yeah, I want to do 2 more seasons of college football, or maybe I never have to end it. I can, we'll play the new game, but maybe I'll just periodically pop in and play an old season of NCAA 14. Here we go, off the netting. Oh, it's dropped. Unbelievable. All right, let's try it one more time. I've contemplated that with my other series. Let me know in the comments. I know that we'd have a million series going on, but I still have my Troy save file on NCAA 12. Maybe I'll randomly pop in and do another year with Troy. I have my save file with the Lions and the Broncos on Madden 12. A lot of possibilities. So even though I'll say 2 more years with Utah, the Utes, we can certainly pop in. We'll get one more shot at it. Last time out called by the Rampage. They don't want us to throw a Hail Mary here. But yeah, let me know if there's a favorite series that you're missing. Let me know in the comments. Say, hey, I would like to see you do one more year of this. I even think I have all my old, like, Peyton Manning on the Cardinals or Tebow on the Jaguars. Like, all those series are still saved. So I would be open to bringing those out every once in a while. Relive some old memories here. Off the netting, and no, hit Grosh in the hands, incomplete. In the meantime, if you even want to know about those series, they're all up on our Patreon page, patreon.com/TBSports27. Go check out the TB Sports archives, including our Georgia Force episodes from Season 1, Season 2 of Arena Football, and you're going to get this entire stream early and ad-free. So make sure you guys go check that out. Second half coming your way. TB Sports 27, Chicago Rush, trying to pull off the upset.